Hello and a warm welcome to everyone. Myself Manish Prabhakar Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Model College, Kharsawa, affiliated to Kolhan University, Chaibasa. Today's lecture will be on the poem Bright Star by John Keats, one of the finest English romantic poets. I would try to make it easier for you to understand the critical aspect of this particular poem. So, before delving deeper, let us first know a little bit about John Keats. John Keats was a major figure in a literary movement called Romanticism, which emerged around 1790 and remained active into 1820s. As David Digest writes, he is romantic in his relish of sensation, his feeling for the Middle Ages, his Hellenism, his conception of the role of the poet, but the synthesis he made of these elements was very much his own. If you look at the poetry of Keats, it is characterized by a style which is loaded with sensualities, which could be seen in his poems like Ode to a Nightingale, Sleep and Poetry, etc. If you look at the poem Bright Star, Bright Star itself is a Shakespearean sonnet, and it has much more in common with the passionate, hyperbolic love sonnets written during the Renaissance than the cold, mathematical poetry of the 18th century. Coming to the poem, Bright Star was written around 1818 or 1819 and was officially published in 1838 in the Plymouth and Devonport Weekly Journal. It is said that he wrote this particular poem for his beloved Fanny Brown when he was traveling through the seas and longing for her. The poem has been addressed to a star, and the sonnet expresses the poet's wish to be as constant as the star while he presses against his sleeping love. It is written in the form of iambic pentameter with the rhyme scheme AB AB CD CD EF EF GG. Now, before delving further, I would like you to read the poem first so that you could formulate your own ideas and realize the sensuousness, that imagery which Keats tries to present in this particular poem. Okay, now if you have done that, let us proceed further. If we talk about tone and setting, the sonnet portrays the passionate and emotional tone presented in a private space in a general setting. The reason for choosing a general setting was so that more focus could be on love and not the distractions around. Keats starts the poem directly by referring to Bright Star. Here, Keats uses apostrophe, a figure of speech, or to better to say, a literary device in which a speaker speaks directly to an object, an idea, or someone who doesn't exist. By directly referring to the bright star, Keats introduces the poem with a strong imagery. You can see that he adds an exclamation mark stressing the importance of the star as well as excitement and his passion. He wishes to be as steadfast and consistent as the bright star. But the second line shifts towards the isolation that the star faces. Keats beautifully brings out the imagery and the symbolism of star by shifting from the positivity to the negativity. Though he wishes to be like it, he doesn't want to be all alone. Just look at the word eternal lit in the third line. The star is always awake and shining and looking towards earth, but it is all alone, and Keats does not want to imitate it. Keats does not want to face the same loneliness which the star faces. Though he admires the star, but he doesn't want to be like that. In the fourth line, Keats talks about sleepless eremite. Eremite refers to a hermit who lives alone in the wilderness. If you look at the word like at the beginning of the fourth line, you will notice that Keats is drawing comparison of the eremite to the moving waters and compares it with a religious symbol, that is priestly task. You can notice how beautifully Keats illustrates his love towards nature and the religiousness which was first being compared with the star is now being compared to the moving waters. If you look at both the images, you can see that Keats here is referring to immortality. Both the star and water have eternal time, which Keats do not. Keats does not have that eternal time which the star possesses, which the moving water possesses. As the star and moving water are separate from each other, both of them having that eternal time, but that's not the case with Keats. In a way, it presents Keats' longing for his beloved. Keats in the poem has lost, we can say he has used a lot of religious symbol and it continues in the sixth line with the use of word ablution. Ablution is a word for religious washing or cleansing. Here, he has tied the imagery of washing with that of sea. The next line he reveals, or we can say the next line he reverts back to the star, which is now gazing once again at the snow upon the mountains and the grassy lands. It's like he's bringing back the attention towards other earthly bodies. Keats here is implying of his dreams to remain same forever, which is not possible. The imagery of mountains and moors, along with the snow, creates the imagery of winter. And you can understand that winter, especially in romantic poetry, or can say in poetry itself, symbolizes loneliness, desolation. If you remember a poem by John Keats, Ode to the West Wind, he gives an example where he says, if winter is there, can spring be far behind? So, winter has always symbolized that loneliness, that isolation, that darkness. This image of snow can be said that it could symbolize that aspect in this particular poem also. He once again brings back the idea of being steadfast and unchangeable like the star, but he does not want to feel the same loneliness. Look at the word no. It makes a very strong statement. Now, the tone shifts towards his lover and he says the eternal qualities of the star could be found in his lover's breast. He is able to showcase the strong bond between the star and his beloved. He expresses that even if the breast is aging, the comforts does not lessen and the love feels like an eternity. The last two lines expresses Keith's feelings and emotion to be with his beloved and soon to death or live forever like star. In a way, he is trying to ask for that if his wish for eternal life does not get fulfilled. If you look at the overall poem, you can sense the mood of John Keats after boarding the ship. The thought of leaving his beloved is like an unspeakable torture. The first 8 lines talks about the constancy of the star, whereas the last 6 lines with his desire towards his beloved. The idea of nature and its beauty is present throughout the poem. The poem is presented with a sensuous imagery. You will notice the melancholic tone as he yearns for ideal human love, hinting towards his own impending death. You already know that Keats died young, and the tone of death could be felt in the sonnet, but there is no fear of it. Instead, everything is quiet and triumphant. Now, if we talk about the themes, the most important theme is love along with steadiness. The idea of steadiness is presented in two contrasting manners. In the first 8 lines, he talks about the star and admires the steadiness and constancy, but he also realizes the isolation and loneliness. In the next 6 lines, he talks about steadiness, but it is now an embrace between two lovers that lasts forever. He wants to attain the steadiness through love and to be embraced with his beloved for an eternity. But he also realizes it is not possible. He realizes that the never ending love could be nothing more than a dream. He brilliantly uses the symbol of bright star and snow. By addressing the bright star, you could see that it acts as an extended metaphor for his beloved. By comparing her to star, he talks about the beauty which sometimes feels unreal, magical. So the bright star is a kind of an ideal that he wants to be attained but he could not. By using snow as a symbol, he brings the imagery of winter. Snow also symbolizes purity and innocence. When the bright star looks down at earth, it can only notice the beautiful aspect of human life and not its darkness. By bringing out the imagery of winter, he is able to create the idea of isolation and loneliness, which hurts more than anything. So I hope I was able to make the sonnet clear to you, bringing out all the imageries and overall ideas. If you have any queries, you can comment and I would try to answer it for you. Thank you for listening.